Give me your hands.
What?
Give me your hands.
What? What are you doing?
Tying you up. Glory be Jesus Christ.
Glory forever. Welcome to Dynamite Duo Sports, the podcast where we break down the NFL's top storylines with the facts, including the fact there are no longer is a normal week of football anymore. I'm Giuseppe.
I'm Antonios.
And today we're going to be recapping what was NFL Week 4. And you know that we're definitely going to be getting into one game in particular. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So Thursday Night Football, Seahawks took down the Cardinals 23-20. Seahawks jumped out to an early lead. Cardinals made a comeback, tie it up, but Seahawks ended up kicking that game-winning field goal to end the game. Basically, Harrison had his come out half or quarter, whatever it was.
Quarter.
And yeah, the Seahawks look solid. Cardinals got some things to work on. Then we got the Vikings losing to the Steelers 24-21. It was a little too close for comfort for Steelers. They did jump out to a big lead early, and then the fourth quarter, the Vikings made a comeback, but fell short due to a Carson Wentz interception. Who could have known that? So, yeah, definitely a lot of positives for Steelers, but also a lot of stuff they can work on. Then we had the Falcons defeating the Commanders 34-27. Michael Penix actually had a pretty good game. Went 20 for 26, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, last week was probably just the fluke game with them being shut out and the Falcons, not scoring anything. That was just a fluke game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then Drake London also had a good game, 110 yards, a touchdown. Kyle Pitts also had a good game, 70 yards, a touchdown. We'll see how the Commanders look when Jaden comes back next week, and hopefully Terry McLaurin as well. And yeah, they should have a pretty good game next week. Then we got the Giants defeating the Chargers 21-18. That is a game we are definitely going to get into. Then we had the Eagles defeating the Bucks 31-25. More on that later as well. Then we have the Texans shutting out the Titans 26-0. Brian Callahan has got to go. There's no question about that. He will be the first head coach fired this year, I believe.
Leave and don't come back.
And then C.J. Stroud, against a good defense, had a solid game, 22 of 28, 233 yards and a couple touchdowns. So, is he back? Who knows? Then we got the Patriots defeating the Panthers 42-13. Panthers are done. They had one way too
fluke.
good of to be true game. And yeah, they're done. And then the Patriots, are they sneaky good? They might be. Who knows? Then we got the Bills defeating the Saints 31-19. This game was way too close for comfort, like 21-19 at one point in the fourth quarter. So Bills ended up pulling away, but definitely
that's the important part, though, ultimately, pulling away.
Yeah, they pulled away, but definitely got to play a better game to beat the Patriots next week. Then you got the Lions defeating the Browns 34-10. Browns kept it close for a little bit, like in the first half, and then the Lions pulled away in the second half. Goff struggled a little bit. I believe it's time for Dylan Gabriel to start for the Cleveland Browns.
Now we go to the 4 o'clock games where the Jaguars came out and beat the 49ers 26-21. The Jaguars had a very impressive game. Defensively, they got 2 picks. They fumbled the ball. They made Brock Purdy fumble the ball. They did pretty solid on offense. The 49ers were banged up, but again, the 49ers are going to have a concern until they can be healthy.
And Brock Purdy also has soreness in his toe.
Yeah, so he's not fully healthy. They probably should have just played Mac Jones, in my opinion. Hopefully Brock Purdy will be okay, but Jaguars are showing a lot of promise, though, I will say, for this season. They're 3-1. They do play Chiefs next week. Be very exciting. But yeah, overall in that game, I think it was just bang up 49ers, lose to Jaguars, but Jaguars still do look like a good team. Then a big upset for the Colts because of the drop pass. They lost 20-27 to the Rams.
I was going to say, nobody...
upsetting for the Colts.
Definitely
the Colts
expected
themselves.
to win. So.
No, yeah. Upsetting for the Colts because it could have gone overtime, or because of that momentum of scoring, the Rams might have never scored, or they could have scored again in 30-27 or 34-27 with the Colts winning. But Rams offense looks good. It's official that the wide receiver duo of Devontae and Puka is now in full gear with Matthew Stafford. So now they're officially that team that we wanted to see at the beginning of this year. Next, Ravens and Chiefs, one of the most embarrassing games probably I've ever seen for the Ravens. We lost 20-37. We'll talk about that later. Then the tie game between Packers and Cowboys, which we'll definitely talk about later, 40-40. Then we have the Monday Night Football games, which, were kind of expected with Dolphins getting the little edge on the Jets, winning 27-21. Tyreek Hill is definitely out for the season, broke his knee, multiple ligaments, possibly his ACL. He looked very happy, though, so that just shows the what kind of mess is going on with the Dolphins. So this win is not even really a win, in my opinion, because they could lose Panthers next week. They could win, but they're just bad. Jets are also in a rough situation. It's like their team looks solid, but they just can't win anything. Justin Fields looks really good.
But I know the cure for any struggling offense is to just play the Cowboys defense. So
yeah, so next week will probably be a very interesting week. And then we have the Broncos taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, where the Broncos won 28-3.
taking on.
Again, they crushed them. Jake Browning is not your guy. Bengals, if you don't get Kirk Cousins, you are done for the year. You want Joe Burrow to come back healthy and
Or
play in the playoffs?
Go get Jameis Winston.
Even Jameis Winston, yeah. At least he'll throw to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So you'll get something done. Now, if you actually want an actual legit chance, I do say get Kirk Cousins. And so that is week 4, and now we will be moving on to the games we want to talk about more. So now we're going to go a little deeper into a couple games. The first one we want to talk about is the Chargers and the Giants, because even though Jackson Dart was playing and there was a lot of hope, I did not think that they were going to win. I did think that possibly, but I wasn't actually very realistic, especially when Malik Neighbors was hurt. I thought Chargers were going to win after that, but they still came out and won because, to be fair, 2 of their best offensive linemen for the Chargers are hurt. Joe Alt,
who got hurt in this game.
Who got hurt in the game.
On the turf.
On the turf at MetLife. Dude, just get rid of the turf. Put something else. Put some other kind of turf in next season, because otherwise, if I was teams, I would start suing them.
You want to know what's really funny? I think they've tried playing new turf in recently, but it still hasn't worked.
Yeah,
it might just be the stadium.
There's just something wrong with that stadium.
Bad mojo.
But Malik Neighbors now out for the season. So what was an exciting game for the Giants, what showed promise, doesn't even really matter anymore, because Malik Neighbors, your only really good wide receiver, is gone.
One thing I will say is that Brian Daboll may have saved his job for this year, but he scared his job for next season, I think.
Maybe. But
here's the thing, guys. Honestly, this game was eerily similar to when Brian Daboll's first game with the Giants, when they beat the Tennessee Titans. It was 21 to 19 or 21-20 or something. It was a very similar game where the quarterback didn't do much. Also for me, this game was an example of the stats don't tell the full story, because Jackson Dart's stats were not very good. It was 13 20, 111 yards, a touchdown.
You've never been
54 rushing yards.
You have never been the person who says stats don't do that, because then you wouldn't be a Dak fan. You would not be a Dak fan if you're all about
Tony,
if you were more into
be
stats.
Quiet and listen for a second?
Nope.
We're not even talking about Dak right now. This is something completely different.
No, because you're talking about stats.
I say the stats don't completely matter.
Exactly.
They don't always, Tony.
They don't matter.
They don't always tell the full story, Tony.
Yeah.
Why don't you stop?
Exactly.
Now, Jackson Dart only had 111 yards, had 54 rushing yards, though. I just think that the energy he brought to the team by replacing washed-up Russell Wilson, who wouldn't even try to throw it to his receivers on 3rd and 4th and goal last week against the Chiefs, was such a big momentum swing in their favor that it caused them to still win. Again, I told you, the culture is a very big thing for a football team, for how hard they're going to play for their team, as annoying as that sounds. So
everything you said proves my point about Dak, though. So, but the big thing about the big thing about Chargers, though, is I don't think this game is necessarily a concern for them, because it's like when you lose 2 offensive linemen to a defensive line like the Giants, it's going to be really tough. And a promising thing in this game for the Chargers is that Martin Hampton finally had his breakout game with 120 yards and a touchdown.
Boom. But the biggest thing, though, that was only on 12 carries.
Yeah.
So 10.7 yards a carry does not exist in the NFL anymore for a starting running back. Those are college numbers.
Yeah, so this game showed a lot of promise for Hampton in the future, and I think I heard that Joe Alt's injury is not too bad. So as long as he comes back in the next couple weeks, I think they'll be just fine. But those are our big overall takes from that game. I just wish Malik Neighbors did not get hurt, so the Giants would have been an actual exciting team moving forward.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what they do for the rest of the season.
Next game up we want to talk about is the Eagles beating the Buccaneers 31-25. This is literally like the Rams Eagles last week, only Eagles swapped, where the first half they were like amazing, second half they did nothing. Now, when I
Yep.
watched some like the recap of the game and such, it almost looked like the Eagles weren't even like trying in the second half. They were overconfident that like they had already won the game, and they did end up winning the game, but they were this close to not tipping that pass, which would have been a touchdown to Chris Godwin instead of a pick. So that's the problem I have with teams like Eagles, I guess, or any team where they get so overconfident in their lead that they just almost blow it or they do blow it. So with the Eagles, it's like, yes, they won. They do look good, but in the second half, they looked like they didn't look bad. They just looked like they weren't trying, like they thought they had won the game already. And again, they did, but that's very, very risky when you're playing a team like Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. You were this close to tying the game up if the Eagles defensive player did not tip that pass, which became a pick. With the Buccaneers on the other side, I have no concern for the Bucs, even though they lost because they almost came back and their team on offensively is still banged up. O-line, Mike Evans not playing. So it's like watching this game, it's like it's not like I think, oh no, Bucs are in trouble, or oh no, Eagles are in trouble. For me, it's like no, Eagles could be in trouble if they like do this again. The Buccaneers, I think, are just fine just because they are banged up and they still put up a good fight. Nothing, in my opinion, of the Buccaneers has changed because I knew no matter what really happened, unless they got crushed by the Eagles, that I would be concerned for the Bucs. But what are your takes on the game with it?
Pretty similar. The only question I have is
The AJ
like
Brown
the
stuff.
AJ Brown stuff.
I will say this: I watched clips and like AJ Brown, you're not getting open.
Yeah,
So
I know,
if
I
you
know.
if
But
you want to throw to, you get
the
open.
thing for AJ Brown is the kind of receiver he is. He's never been like the fast wide receiver. He's more of the throw it up to me and I'm bigger than the other guy, so I'm gonna catch it. That's what AJ Brown is. But my question is because this happened last year too with the Eagles,
Literally.
but the only difference is that the run game is struggling this year. Like that Saquon Barkley literally hasn't had a good running game this year yet. He's literally
Yeah.
averaging the least amount of yards per carry in the NFL this season.
Yeah.
3.1 yards a carry. That's the lowest in the NFL. So, like Hurts, like when he runs, it's effective, and um, and when they actually decide to actually try throwing the
See,
football, I guess that they're good. But
the really interesting thing about the Eagles this year is it's like they're undefeated, and it's mostly because I mean their offense is doing like just enough, but the ultimate thing is their defense is so dominant this year, and their special teams.
they are literally like maybe like 5 plays away from being 2-2 right now. I would say like the Cowboys game. If CeeDee Lamb
But
doesn't drop everything, they might have lost. But who knows? So
ultimately though, it just comes out to who wins, and there's a mess up that's the other team's fault,
right,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like.
absolutely. So,
But it's like I think the Eagles are going to be fine. I think they make the playoffs, but because of how they're
well,
performing right now,
duh.
I know. I mean, you know that, but I'm saying like people who think going to Super Bowl again. I don't think so because if they play like this in the
Let's
playoffs,
just say
there's no chance.
I think the NFC is wide open for whoever the top teams are. Like you could name any of the Lions, the Bucks, the Rams, the Eagles. I wouldn't be mad if you picked any of them to be the Super Bowl
fair.
champion.
But yeah, I will say another thing too. Bucky Irving and Ibuka both did really well because they stepped up a lot. So for me, it's just like that's my ultimate takeaway from the game. It's like I'm not upset that the Bucks lost because it's not like it was a loss where it's like there's concern. So this game
just wait till they're fully healthy.
the Eagles still look like that very like such a huge question mark in the beginning of the season. And the big thing for me, like I said, is like halfway through the season, if there's still that big question mark, they're in trouble. Because last time they had a question mark all the way through halfway through the season, they just lost like 6, 7 games in a row, something like that, 2 seasons ago. Like they just lost everything. So right now, there's no concern. But halfway through the season, if they're still playing like this, then there's a big concern.
Then we got the Chiefs defeating the Ravens 37-20. And before I even get into what happened in this
first
game,
thing, I do want to say just one thing, though. The Chiefs are back, I think. I hope not, but I have a very weird feeling that they're coming back.
yes, but that's not the biggest story coming
It's
out
not.
of this game.
It's not the biggest story.
Sit down, grab some popcorn. I got it. You guys have Derrick freaking Henry on your football team, and you don't have him out there on 3rd down or on 4th and 1.
If you're like, well,
4th and 1, and you don't have Derrick freaking Henry on the field.
John Harbaugh, you're on the hot seat, in my opinion, because Derrick Henry is a great player. Even when you have a 2-minute drill, he can still get you. He's the one on your team that gets you the 50-yard plays.
Here's what I think about. Here's what I think's going on. You guys are way too worried about making Lamar look like the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
You guys are way too worried about that. You guys need to focus on what's best for your football team. And Derrick Henry on the field, unless he needs a breather, is the best thing for your offense, because the threat of him running the football,
even catching it like screen passes,
and he can catch screen passes. He is fat. Once he gets past the defenders, it's really hard to tackle him
because he's
so big. And like, I don't know what your problem is. It's like every other team in the NFL would be giving Derrick Henry the ball at least 20 times a game. You guys barely give it to him like 10 to 15 times a game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, good grief. And then for your defense, you guys were really banged up on defense. So I'm not going to really throw too much shade on their defense for that game.
But it is a huge concern because one of their defensive linemen, I think, is out for the season. I forget how to pronounce his last name because it's a super complicated one. It's like Ibujikinis. Like, it's just something like that.
Yeah.
So, but all I know is that he was really good and really effective. So that's not a good sign.
But Ravens, you need to get it together, because if you don't get your offense rolling, because of the way your defense is right now, you're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. And now on the Chiefs side, I mean, to be fair, Ravens defense was banged up, but Mahomes did start looking very flashy like he used to. Again, it's a banged up defense. The next week they'll be playing the Jaguars, so it'll definitely show if they're actually back. But even if the Ravens defense wasn't banged up, I feel like the Chiefs offense was still clicking really well, especially Xavier Worthy come back throwing those bombs.
And Rashid Rice will be back in after 2 more games. So
yeah, so it's like I think the Chiefs are definitely starting to come back. I hope not, and I hope that those first 2 losses are enough to give a stronger impact on them for this year to at least not win the division.
Because another thing though is that a lot of the teams of the AFC are starting to not look as dominant as I want them to be, like the Bills. Like, I'm hoping that.
I think the Bills are still gonna have the best record in the AFC this year.
Yeah, but it's just that they're.
Wait, did you predict the Ravens were gonna be like 15-2 or 14-3 this year?
Yeah, it was until I knew they weren't going to use Derrick Henry effectively. But,
yeah, so he's one more loss and he's wrong about that.
But yeah, so AFC, you need to get it together too, because the Chiefs are coming.
Yeah.
Then we got maybe the game of the year so far. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, definitely one of the most craziest games of the year. So yeah,
got the Packers and the Cowboys ending in a tie, 40-40, the second highest tied game ever. The highest tied game ever was back in 1964 when the Raiders and the Patriots tied at 43-43.
I want to make one comment real quick. As I was looking at the stats, quarterback and running back wise, Jacobs, Williams, Dak, and Jordan Love literally looked almost the exact same on the stat sheet.
They did.
Like, literally. And the offense has moved the exact, because Jacobs and Williams are the same kind of running backs where they choose a route, they run, and then Jordan Love and Dak are basically throwing the ball like equally the same.
Yeah, it's like they both had the same amount of rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns. The only difference is that Dak ran for 1 and Jacobs ran for 2 and Williams ran for 1. So it's like
right. So it's like, but the big thing about that game was the Packers need to fix their special teams on the field goal, because they lost to the Browns because they blocked the field goal. Then basically
they blocked
extra point and got the 2 points against the Packers, which is
pivotal.
Which is the pivotal change of what would have been a Packers win versus a tie. So it's like they need to fix whatever that problem is. But then at the same time, the Cowboys offense, I think Cowboys are the exact same as like the Bengals last year. They have like the offense where they're going to keep scoring, but the defense is just not. That's just going to keep crumbling apart.
Now the thing for the defense is that I think that there are some promising pieces on the defense.
But those,
but that's a lot of people are saying that they think it's more of the scheme than the actual players themselves.
I don't necessarily know that, because Trevon Diggs himself has been bad at covering.
Well, yeah.
And then another point is like it is like the Bengals last year. Trey Hendrickson is a phenomenal player on their defense, but
we don't have anybody like that right now.
Yes, but I'm saying that like the Bengals had positive things for their defense too, but they were still awful. Your defense, it's not necessarily that you are playing zone too much, but at the same time, it's like even on man coverage, you guys weren't doing very well.
Yeah.
So I think it is more of your players are just being really sloppy.
I think that because like our run defense was actually solid, even though
I think your defense lost so much hope when Micah Parsons left that they just lost so much hope on their defense.
Right.
Because he was like your best player.
But need for our defense is I think that we need to do a trade for Trey Hendrickson before the trade deadline. And if they want Trayvon Diggs, we'll give them Trayvon Diggs with like maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks.
I don't think it's happening.
I don't think it's happening because Jerry Jones loves his draft picks.
Jerry Jones is not going to do anything or any giant moves like that, like ever.
Well, I mean, he did trade for Amari Cooper that one year when we were struggling at the beginning of the season. But
yeah, but I still don't think there's not much.
Yeah, I mean, do I have faith in Jerry Jones that he'll do that? No, but I think that's what needs to be done if we want a chance to make the playoffs this year. So,
but need versus Jerry Jones needs is probably never going to change. I will say one thing though. I'm not trying to be mean to Jerry Jones or something, but when I saw him Sunday night, he looks very sickly. Like he looks like
that for years.
No, but like much more different. Maybe because he's up late at night. Who knows? But it's like when you look at him, it almost looks like the blood's not flowing to his head. Like not as a joke, like dead serious. So I know he had that
would explain.
I will say I don't know if there is any health problems he currently has, but there's definitely that thing where like his clock is ticking. So if he wants to see another ring before he dies, he probably should just get his let his team do what they have to do and just kind of stay back. And honestly, I feel like it'd be less stressful if he did that too.
Speaking of stressful for the Packers though, the end of that game, at the end of overtime, they were literally a quarter of a second away from losing that football game. Yeah. It was a quarter of a second, literally, because when they snapped the ball to kick the field goal, it immediately went like boom, 0. I was like, it was that close. It's like, come on, home game clock operator, help us out a little bit.
It's like, but the Packers, it's like they definitely could use this bye week to kind of like regain themselves. They need to regroup. But there's a big concern because there are teams who have like great first 2 games, and then after that you find out, Saints. Yeah, like Saints last year, yeah, and it's like, so you're not actually good. Now, to be fair, they lost Wyatt. They lost Wyatt on the defensive line. Since they lost Clark, defensive tackle. Yeah, he's very critical since Clark's not on their defensive line anymore. And then they lost, I think, one of their safeties or cornerbacks that night too. I forget his name.
He was going back and forth in the game.
Yeah,
he still played.
But it's because he was banged up. He didn't play very well. So it's like, yes, there were a lot of issues with the Packers in the game, but at the same time, the Cowboys have been so rough that you shouldn't have been that close. It should have been a tie. Now, to be fair, the Packers offense still scored 40 points.
But of course, again, they were playing against the easier defense, in my opinion. At least going into the game, looking at both the defenses, you were the Packers should totally beat the Cowboys by at least like 2 touchdowns, probably.
Yeah,
but
so
it's like,
but I mean, they would.
And then
I will say the big thing again, because sometimes it's also momentum in a game. So once they blocked the kick and returned for the 2 points, that changed momentum on the side of the Cowboys, because there is that mindset for players where it's like, if you scored 14-0, you're like, man, this is just awful. Versus 13 and they block and you touch, like, oh my gosh, like this is actually like, this is good. We can respond with this.
My reaction was like, yes, we're not going to get shut out.
And yeah, like, definitely was shut out. Definitely not shut
14 out. 14 points then.
So yeah, so it was like, I think that blocked extra point was the killing point.
And then we respond by scoring a touchdown, and then the defense comes back when the Packers trying to get in field goal range, and we hit the ball out of Jordan Love's hands. Basically, it wasn't even Jordan Love's fault. It was just that the defense and his name's Houston, I think.
Yeah,
he made a really good play. So
yeah, it was like the Cowboys came to play, but hey, at the end of the day, though, they still don't have a win. AT&T against the Packers.
Yeah,
So
but at least we didn't
at least
lose.
you didn't lose though. So
So
that's a step forward. But like I said, this means the Cowboys could go. The Packers can get what they want. They can have their usual 10-6-1 season like they normally do with Aaron Rodgers, and then the Cowboys can have their 8-8 season. It's like it can happen all over again.
that's
Our
worst.
childhood.
That's worst case
I know.
scenario. But
But it's like I don't think it's worst case for Cowboys schedule, Seppi.
okay, like that's like the middle.
It's like the
But
middle, yeah. And hey, who knows? With how all these teams are being very wacky right now, that could be enough. Who knows? Or you might just miss it. But
I don't
I
know.
will say that tie will have a very big effect if they're in the
Oh
race
yeah.
for the playoffs later this year.
Yep.
Same with the Packers; they could also affect their position in the
Well,
playoffs.
I guess here's the one piece of good news is that we shouldn't have to face the Packers in the playoffs unless by some miracle we make it to the NFC Championship
Ha
because we're
ha
both
ha
probably gonna be wild card
ha
teams.
ha 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 ha
So
ha ha ha. You'll never make the NFC Championship as long as Jerry Jones is your CEO.
well, yeah, I know, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's our takeaway from the game. It was a very crazy game, and unless you're a Packers fan, I think that it was pretty satisfying.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know what you think down in the comments below. What was your favorite moment from Week 4 of the NFL season? Be sure to let us know. You follow us on all the social media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. And yep, be sure to be looking up. We got 3 more videos coming out this week since we missed on last week with that live stream we were trying to do. Gonna figure out that sound thing for when we go live for next time. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. I'm Giuseppe,
I'm Antonios.
and this has been Dynamite Duo Sports.
This was a rough week for pick'em.
Gamblers.
No, gamblers and pick'em leagues.
Yep, like that tie threw everybody off.
Not good.